Welcome back to another episode of Hubler Automotive Group Coach's Corner. I'm your host as always, Reece Byerly, and today I'm joined with a new face on the show, normally on Inside Franklin Athletics. Today my co-host is Jake Trueblood.
Thanks, Reece, for introducing me. I'm excited.
Yep, thanks for coming on, Jake. And then today we have the boys golf coach, also my boss at the Legends of Indiana, the owner of the course, and also the 38th president of the PGA, Mr. Ted Bishop. How you doing today?
Great. Happy to be with you guys.
Thank you for coming on. So as we were kind of talking before the show, you guys have a very young team, only one sophomore and one junior, and then the rest of them are sophomores or freshmen. Tell me what that's like to have such a young team, and you know, as you're coming into your body and everything, you're just learning. How do you guys do the best to try and teach them what you can?
Yeah, well, actually, we've got 12 guys on our team. We have one senior in Will McGinnis and a junior in Graham Brumley that's never played golf, and then everybody else on the team are freshmen and sophomores. Our starting five, we have one senior, three sophomores, and a freshman. And you know, these are the guys that are playing for us. Are guys that have been around golf. You know, it's a tough transition from the middle school to the high school, just based on the length of courses that kids play in middle school. So you know, it's a real challenge for freshmen to come in and you know, have much of an impact. You know, Reed Davidson's done it. You know, he's done a nice job in that regard. But you know, we have a team that you know, I feel like these guys are a year or two away. And you know, the thing in golf that's really important, like the sports you guys play, you know, your summer work is very important. So you know, how much tournament golf these guys play after the high school season over the course of the summer is going to be really important in their development as players.
Sure. So, Coach, I got to talk to Will McGinnis last week on Inside Franklin Athletics and talk to him about being a senior on the team, and especially since he's the sole senior. How has he been able to step up into that leadership role? You
know, he's done a great job, and you know, you look at our team last year, which was a state finalist team, and we had Damon Dickey, who was our leader, who was, you know, one of the premier players in the state. And you know, Will was the youngest starting member of that team, you know, even as a junior. So, you know, he didn't really have a chance to exhibit much in the way of leadership, you know, when you're coming in with a group that's as senior laden as that team was. So, you know, we talked a lot about it in the off season. He worked hard on his game, you know, during the winter, and you know, every time I would give him a lesson, we probably spent 5 or 10 minutes out of that lesson just talking about what his role and responsibilities, you know, were going to be as a senior. And you know, he's done a great job, and I think it's really hard for a senior to make a transition, you know, like he's had to make, where you know, he was playing with a lot of his buddies, you know, last year. These were guys that he had played with his first 3 years in high school, and now they're gone, and all of a sudden he's playing with a bunch of guys that are a lot younger than he is. And it's been kind of cool to see, because the younger guys respect him. And the other thing that's been great is, you know, Will's our number one player. He's got the low average on the team, so he's not only leading by example in ways off the course, but he's also, you know, been a leader on the golf course based on performance.
Definitely.
Talk about transitions, kind of backing off what you said. The young team that you've had, most of them, they, besides Will, had never played varsity golf before. And sometimes a transition from JV golf to varsity golf can be a big transition, to say. How have your players stepped in and done that to the best of their ability?
Yeah, well, these guys they're all good competitors. You know, I mean, you got a player like Luke Beckert, who's a 3-sport athlete. So he's used to competing. You know, Davidson played tennis in the fall and lettered. But the other guys, you know, Gibson and Caden Gibson and Jake Locke, golf's the only thing they do. And, you know, I think the thing that is really difficult about golf compared to most other sports is it's not what I'd call a motion sport. So there's a lot of time to think in between shots. You know, in football or baseball or basketball, it's like once the action starts, it's really, you can be nervous before the game, but it's easy to get, you know, loose and go out there and perform. In golf, it's a little bit more of a challenge from a mental standpoint. And you know, what I see with a team like this is we play really pretty good in practice. I mean, if we could take what we do in practice and carry that over from a scoring standpoint, you know, into competition, then we'd be a lot better team. And I hope that as we migrate and go through the season, that's what will happen. When we get towards the end of our season with the biggest tournaments that we have, the county, the conference, the sectional. That's kind of what happened with our team last year. We just got done playing in the Hall of Fame tournament weekend before last, the state preview this weekend. These are against nothing but ranked teams. And, we got pummeled pretty good, but I feel like that, it's good for our guys and it'll make us a better team down the road.
For sure. I definitely, and a younger team experience is key in getting those guys up on that top stage. What's something that you guys have done before the season started in the off season to really get these younger guys prepared?
Well, I think the main thing, and I'm actually a co-head coach. Crystal Morse is my co-head coach, and we're both PGA professionals. So all these guys that are playing for us really bought into an off-season instructional program, and we're very fortunate at the Legends to have an indoor golf academy where we can teach at all winter, no matter what the weather's like. So these guys were just religious about their commitment, and taking weekly lessons, and then they also. As you guys saw, because you were in the weight room in the off season, they were in the weight room all winter, and so they got bigger, they got stronger, they worked on their golf skills, and they got better. They really have gotten a lot better, and I just I kind of like where we're at. Going into the sectional, Center Grove will be they'll be the odds-on favorite. They'll win the sectional probably, and then. You've got Greenwood and Greenwood Christian, who probably have the best teams they've had maybe ever. And then I think, somewhere, behind them, people probably look at Franklin, and we're kind of viewed maybe as the team on the outside looking in. And what I think is, with this group of young players, we have absolutely nothing to lose. We have everything to gain, and I'm hoping maybe that we can peak at the right time and slip in there and clip somebody and advance to the regional.
Will told me that it was the top three, correct? Top three teams?
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Golf is a very difficult sport, and sometimes you can hit a good shot and be in a bad lie, and then sometimes you can hit a bad shot and be in a good lie. As a coach with a young team, how do you kind of just coach them not to let that stuff get in their head, just let it go past them, play the next shot, and do the best they can?
Well, I'm good friends with Tom Watson, who's won 8 major championships, and he's one of the greatest players of all time. And one of his favorite sayings about golf is that golf is not a fair game. And you summed it up very well. There can be all kinds of crazy things that happen in a round of golf, and you have just got to be mentally disciplined enough to accept whatever you get and just focus on the next shot, not on the last shot. And I think that is always a challenge with players, but again, particularly younger players. And we talk about in our world, we talk about clean scorecards. And what clean scorecards would be scorecards where players make no worse than a bogey. And this is something that we struggled with last year, even up until the end of the season, was eliminating a lot of those big holes and being able to play your way out of trouble. You get behind a tree or you get in a hazard, you just all of a sudden bogey, becomes a good score. And you can't lose sight of that. And I think the biggest challenge for anybody that plays golf is you get wrapped up in the last shot you hit rather than the next one, because there's nothing you can do about the last one. You just got to go forward.
I think Coach Call preaches that just the same for football. He talked to us multiple times about, doesn't matter what happened on the last play. It doesn't matter if you just scored a touchdown or if you, blew your block assignment and the quarterback got sacked. You just have to be able to move on. So I think that's something that can really be focused on in any sport.
Well, it is. And, the thing that makes golf a little bit different than football, you can't do anything about that last play. But if you hit a good drive and you miss the green, then you still got the opportunity to chip it close and make a putt and save par. So there is a degree of second opportunities. But that's the other thing that makes golf fun to teach is there's so many variables. You got to be able to drive the ball. You got to be able to hit irons. You got to be able to chip. You got to be able to hit bunker shots. You got to be able to putt. There's just a whole skill set that these younger players are still learning, for sure.
Definitely.
The sectionals is hosted at the Legends of Indiana. That's where your team practices and spends most of their time. Do you guys feel like you have some sort of home court advantage there, or as home field advantage yet?
Well, Reece, I mean, we should have to a degree. Whether we will have or not, remains to be seen. I think the thing about the Legends, and this has always been true, we hosted the state finals in boys and girls golf for 15 years. And, I think that our design is fair. The course is not tricked up. I mean, it's kind of, you get what you see out there. So I don't really know how much of a home course advantage it actually is, but what I think it should be along those lines for our guys would be just a comfort level, knowing that you see these same holes day in and day out, and you played it in different directions of wind and that type of thing. So you ought to be pretty much ready for anything that it can give you, but it's all up here.
Definitely. Yeah, so they get to practice on that court every single day. That's definitely at least somewhat of an advantage to all these other teams. Are you guys gonna give them a practice round before the sectional?
Yeah, I mean, we host the Franklin Invite on Saturday. I guess actually none of those three teams I mentioned are playing in that, but we play regular season matches with them. They've all seen it. They'll all see it again. They'll play practice rounds. That's just part of the preparation. I mean, we're going to Heartland Crossing today in Mooresville to play a practice round for the Mid-State. So that's what you do to prepare in golf.
Definitely. So what's something you may have tuned in on, kind of focused on as the season winds down in practice?
Yeah, I think it's definitely, for our team, the chipping and putting part of it. Because again, that's where you have the opportunity around the green to make up for a shot that maybe you weren't that happy with that got you to that point. So I don't think we can do enough of that work, and just stay positive and I think just playing. And that's the other thing in golf. I mean, and teams are different. I feel like last year's team was a team that on our non-match days, it was probably beneficial for us to practice maybe and do some things. I think these guys, as young as they are, and even Will, really with a kind of an inexperienced level that he has even as a senior with competitive golf, I don't think he can play enough. And so that's what we try to do, 3 or 4 times a week.
Speaking of tonight, as you guys head up to Mooresville, is there anything specifically, as you and Crystal as coaches, is there anything specific you guys are looking for tonight?
Tonight's just one of those deals where you go up there, you take some notes, you get a look at the course. There are some funny holes up there that you want to remember. What club you hit when you played in a practice round, and just get a good look at it. You don't really focus too much on score in these practice rounds. It's just you're out there kind of doing work.
Sounds good.
As you have been around the game of golf for such a long time, you've probably seen so many cool things. Can you kind of tell us one of the coolest and most fond memories you have of the game of golf?
I think I had the opportunity to be in the team room at 3 Ryder Cups, and I think when you're with the greatest players in the world, and you get on a stage that is a huge stage like that's the preeminent international team competition in all of golf, and when you see the best players in the world battling their nerves, under those circumstances, and I've seen the same thing at the PGA Championship, which is one of the major tournaments that golf has, it just kind of puts into perspective that there's a human element to the sport, even at the highest level. And so some of the same things that I would talk about my guys, my freshmen and sophomores, battling from a mental standpoint, would be some of the same things that the greatest players in the world, do when they're on those stages. So, the sectional might feel the same to Jake Locke, as the Ryder Cup does to Tiger Woods. Sure. So that's what's kind of cool about the game.
Well, Mr. Bishop, thank you for taking time out of your busy day to come join us. And Jake, it was wonderful having you on here today. And that was another episode of Hubler Automotive Group Coach's Corner.
Hubler is proud to be the official sponsor of Franklin Athletics. Score massive savings on all your favorite brands. Plus, get our 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty included. For all auto needs, just click drivehubler.com. Let's go, Grizzly Cubs!